It looks like specific details about NASCAR's new short track aero package for this year might have just been leaked. Let's talk about the specifics. How's it going, y'all? My name is Eric, and welcome to Out of the Groove. One last episode before I move once again. Tomorrow I'm starting the long drive out to California. I'm gonna be spending the next few months in Los Angeles, Hollywood, and it's worth mentioning that because, with all the driving I'm gonna be doing the next couple days, and of course the moving and starting a bunch of other stuff, it might be a few days until the next Out of the Groove episode. That's why I wanted to make sure I get an episode out today to touch on any of the final stories that I've missed up to this point, so that way if you don't hear from me for 3 or 4 or 5 days, at least you'll hear from me here. And also, while I've been packing and stuff, I keep finding old NASCAR things that I forgot I owned. Like this mug, I don't remember, I think I got this at a garage sale for like 25 cents. It's kind of cool, kind of random. Anyway, we do have a good amount of stuff to cover in today's episode. If you've missed any of my episodes from the last week or so, we have discussed plenty of hot NASCAR topics in recent days. So if you missed any of those episodes, you want to hear me go in depth about a lot of stuff, go check those out. They're all on my channel right there in a row. You can click on them and have a nice little afternoon where you just listen to my voice. I'm not really doing a very good job of selling it, I suppose. Anyway, we've got a lot of stuff to talk about. Corey LaJoie leaked some details about the new short track aero package that NASCAR is kind of slapping together last minute. Corey LaJoie leaked some details on his podcast. I also want to talk about a couple other things. We'll start really quick with some, I guess this counts as silly season. Earlier today, it was revealed that Ross Chastain is going to make 2 starts this year in the Cup Series for Spire Motorsports in that 77 car. He'll be racing both the Daytona 500 to start the year and also the Coke 600 in May to crown jewels. And in both of these races, while he is technically racing for Spire Motorsports, the cars and equipment will actually be supplied by Chip Ganassi Racing and will be sponsored by Advent Health. They're back again this year for a part-time deal. Obviously, Ross Chastain's been a big story the last couple of years. He's racing full-time in Xfinity next year for Colleague, going to be going for a championship over there. He is still going to be racing a lot of Cup Series races as he's known to do, but what's interesting here, the second thing that's interesting, is that Chip Ganassi Racing still is retaining their interest and I guess still honoring their contract with Chastain to some extent. He's still affiliated with Chip Ganassi Racing. Remember, at the end of 2018, when DC Solar went bankrupt, it basically ruined Chastain's immediate future with that race team. He was supposed to race for them full-time in Xfinity in 2019. That whole team fell apart because of DC Solar committing fraud. Chastain has not raced a single lap for Chip Ganassi Racing since that whole incident happened, but now, technically, I know it's not technically a Chip Ganassi start for Chastain, but he is still affiliated with Chip Ganassi Racing, and I know Kurt Busch just signed a 2-year deal, so he's going to be racing at least through 2021, but this does show signs that Ross Chastain might be the guy for Chip Ganassi going forward in the not-so-distant future, assuming Chastain continues to develop and have success in the Xfinity Series and before he gets there. This is similar to last year when Jamie McMurray ran using the Spire charter, but it was a Chip Ganassi race car. Jamie McMurray ran the Daytona 500. I think he also ran the Clash that year. Those are the only 2 starts McMurray made last season, but they were technically Chip Ganassi cars. But this has me excited because Ross Chastain, an aggressive driver in good equipment in the biggest race the sport has to offer, could either be disaster or could be an incredible story. I think Ross Chastain is going to have a real shot at winning the Daytona 500. I think there's a better chance that he'll end up wrecking half the field, making a 5-wide move or something. But if he can make it through that race unscathed, he'll be up near the front at the end of this thing, and in a solid car like that, all bets are off. Ross Chastain could very well win the Daytona 500. That has me really excited. That's the story I'm going to be watching throughout Speed Week, so thought I'd share that with you guys. Other thing I hit on really quick that I thought was kind of interesting, kind of fun, NASCAR revealed their 2020 championship odds for the Cup Series. Take a look, here's their top 8. You see Harvick has the best odds to win the championship. Martin Truex Jr., Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin, 3 Gibbs cars there are right behind him. And then you got a couple Penske guys, Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott, the only Chevys listed here in the top 8, but there you go, there's their odds. This kind of surprises me because Kyle Busch is the defending champion, and he won the championship this last year pretty convincingly. He had one of the best seasons overall, won 5 races, more than Harvick did. And they're not making any changes over there. He's still working with Adam Stevens. I mean, I'm honestly kind of surprised they're giving Truex such good odds, given that Cole Pearn is no longer going to be his crew chief. I would have knocked Truex down a couple notches there. The only reason I can think that Kevin Harvick would be considered the preseason championship favorite is because this year, the championship race will be at Phoenix Race. Phoenix is back. Phoenix Raceway. Historically, Kevin Harvick has been really good at this racetrack, and I mean really good. And ever since they invented the Championship 4 format, Harvick has basically been a lock to make it to that championship race every single year. It's almost a sure thing. So I guess that's what the thought process is here. I mean, between 2013 and 2015, Harvick won 4 straight Phoenix races. 5 out of 6 races he won during this stretch. He was absolutely unstoppable at Phoenix, but if we look at the last few years, last couple of years, he's still been good at Phoenix, but he has not won at Phoenix in a few years. Well, okay, he did win a race in 2018, but the last 3 races at Phoenix, Harvick has not finished better than 5th. Still really good. Not saying that 5th place is a bad result at all. Harvick will definitely be a contender, but to act like Harvick is a lock at Phoenix these days, I don't think is true. Anyway, I thought these preseason championship odds might be kind of interesting to look at. I might switch Kyle Larson and Chase Elliott there. I think Chase Elliott's probably going to have a little bit better year if I had to guess. I mean, he had a better year in 2019 by a considerable margin. And then not featured on this list, but at 20-1 odds, Eric Jones, William Byron, and Ryan Blaney were the first 3 drivers not featured on this list. Jimmy Johnson, Kurt Busch, Alex Bowman were all 40-1 odds, so I thought for Bowman and Kurt Busch especially, that seemed a little harsh. I would put them up there in consideration with William Byron and them. I think they're arguably going to be better than Byron is this year. Jimmy Johnson, 40-1 odds, I think is pretty fair. Jimmy Johnson, we'll see what he can do. I'm just going to be excited again if he wins a race this year. That'll be pretty awesome in my opinion. But anyway, they're your championship odds. I'd probably put Kyle Busch as my number 1. I mean, like I said, he won the championship last year pretty convincingly, and they didn't really make any changes this year, and I don't know, I think he's going to be tough to beat. Anyway, there are your championship odds according to whomever, the powers that be, I suppose. Share your comments down below. Let me know who you think the champion will be this year. All right, now let's get to the main focus of this episode. We talked about this a few days ago when it was first reported by Adam Stern. Now we have Corey LaJoie shedding more light on this report on his podcast earlier today. A lot of NASCAR media members were reporting on it as well. Breaking news in a lot of sense, because these are the first details we've heard about NASCAR's new 2020 short track rules package. These are the first details we've heard. So let's flash back to October now, when the deadline for any new rules proposals had technically passed. NASCAR came out and said then that they were not going to make any changes to the 2019 package for 2020. Effectively, this year was going to be the exact same rules package on every track that we saw last year. NASCAR was not planning on making any changes. They didn't want to force the teams to spend any extra money for a package that's going to be obsolete in less than a year when the next gen car comes out. NASCAR said in October, no changes to the rules package. But then, lackluster races at Martinsville and Phoenix happened, and at the end of November, there were rumblings that NASCAR was going to go back and consider possible short track rules changes for 2020. And those rumors continued to circulate. Adam Stern earlier this week reported that NASCAR had come to a conclusion that yes, they were going to change the package for short tracks this year. We just hadn't heard any details yet, and nothing had been made official. But now Corey LaJoie, per his inside sources, now has some details for us. He said on his podcast earlier today that NASCAR is looking at reducing the size of the spoilers, the rear spoilers, down to 3 or less inches. Under 3 inches, according to Corey LaJoie, that was his quote, which would be similar to what we ran in 2018, when we had technically a low downforce package at pretty much every track. Corey LaJoie also said that this will be in place at all of the short track and road course races in 2020. Basically, every track that ran 750 horsepower this last year and is also going to run 750 horsepower this year, those races, those tracks will all feature the smaller rear spoiler, less than 3 inches, according to Corey LaJoie, which is what, about this tall compared to this that we had this last year. According to Corey LaJoie in his podcast, it's supposed to half the amount of downforce on the cars compared to what we had last year. So that is going to definitely be a welcome sight for pretty much all the drivers, probably most all of the fans. It's going to make the short tracks and road course races better in 2020. That's just a fact. It will. Now, Adam Stern's report earlier in the week suggested that NASCAR was also going to make some changes possibly to the splitter. LaJoie didn't make any comments about that on his podcast, so there could still be more changes coming in the future once NASCAR makes this official, but now it does sound like this is a done deal, that they're in the final stages of approving everything, and before Daytona, we're going to have a new rules package for these short tracks this year. This comes at a price, of course. Remember, NASCAR all along wanted 2 separate packages. They wanted an intermediate package with the high downforce. They wanted a low downforce package also for short tracks, though. NASCAR wanted 2 slightly different packages. The race teams have initially said no, because they didn't want to spend any extra money on these changes. Between October and now, though, it seems the teams and NASCAR have decided to compromise, or maybe the teams have completely shifted their mindset here and have agreed to make these changes for the betterment of the product. Because here's the thing, and I know this is a purely subjective topic here, but I did do my groovy gauge throughout the year. I read you guys' comments on Twitter, on my videos, all over the place, and the general vibe I got from 2019 and what my eyes told me is that most of the mile-and-a-half races were more entertaining last year than they had been in most of the Gen 6 era. But the short tracks and some of the road courses noticeably were worse. They were noticeably less entertaining. There was less passing. Aero was too much of an issue, and that shouldn't be happening at Martinsville. We shouldn't be talking about aero push. And so myself, as well as it seems like many fans, agreed that the short tracks and road courses were hurt by last year's package, but many of the intermediate tracks and the Superspeedways especially were improved by last year's package. So that's why I'm excited. I said this earlier in the week in my last video that I believe 2020 could be the best year of overall racing we've seen, definitely in the Gen 6 era, and maybe since, the 2011 season. The Superspeedways are going to be outstanding. They were phenomenal last year. Superspeedway racing is going to be great this year. The short tracks and road courses are kind of going to be restored to their former glory. They're going to be how they've always been. Higher horsepower, low downforce. Goodyear's going to have to bring maybe a softer tire, something that'll create more tire wear so that you get, changes throughout a run. But short track's going to be as good as they've always been. And then the intermediates, the Kentuckys, the Texases, the tracks that in previous years were virtually unwatchable, those races are going to become more entertaining. We saw Kentucky last year as one of the best races of the year, one of the best mile and a halves for sure. Charlotte was phenomenal. Even Chicagoland, which I was worried would be hurt by this package, was still pretty good. So I'm very excited for 2020 now that NASCAR has announced these rules changes. Short tracks are going to be amazing. Road courses are going to be amazing. Intermediates are going to be better than they've been since at least 2012. Super speeders are going to be phenomenal. There's 36, technically there's like 38 races on the NASCAR Cup Series schedule. There's only like 4 or 5 that I'm not looking forward to right now. Still don't love Pocono. Michigan's going to be hit or miss. I'll be honest, the 2 Texas races aren't great, so there's 5 races right there. I think this next year is going to be pretty awesome, but let me know what you guys think. Obviously, everyone's going to have different opinions. That's why I said this is very subjective. We all have different opinions on what good or great racing is. We all look for slightly different things, so let me know what you guys think down below. This is just another case of NASCAR listening to the fans, or in this case, the race teams even listening to the fans, because a lot of the race teams now are going to have to spend more money. They're going to have to develop a slightly different package. They're going to have to R&D a slightly different package, so the race teams are going to have to spend some more money here that maybe they didn't want to initially, but it's going to be for a better racing product, and it's going to make the fans enjoy NASCAR more. So, I don't know, go support your favorite race team. Go buy a hat of your favorite driver or something like that to show your support. Actually, I don't know what percentage of merchandise sales actually go to the race team, so there's probably a better way out there to support your favorite race teams, but needless to say, this is a really cool move of them, really good move from NASCAR to listen to the fans and make a quick change for the better that I think every fan should appreciate. This is hopefully one thing that I'd say 90 or more % of NASCAR fans can get behind and support and say, yes, we like this. Thank you, NASCAR, for making this change. Hopefully this is that one thing that universally we can all come together and say is a positive change. So this is good. This has me excited. Some good vibes going into 2020 this year. This is supposed to just be a gap year before the next Gen car, but it's shaping up to be one of the most interesting seasons I can think of, especially in the Gen 6 era. I think we're going to have some outstanding racing this year. So I'm hyped. I'm excited. Let's see. NASCAR still has not made this official. I should say that this has not been made official yet, but we've gotten a lot of reports and it sounds pretty legit. It sounds like it's in the final stages of becoming true to me, but yeah, we'll keep talking about it as more details emerge. But yeah, thanks guys for watching. That's all I got in today's episode. But yeah, that's going to do it. Follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram, subscribe if you're new. We talk about NASCAR stuff like this throughout the week, every single week, so join the fun over here. And of course, a big thank you to my Patreon supporters. Could not do this show without the support I get from each and every single one of you. I'm in the process of kind of restructuring how I work my Patreon right now, so bear with me all, but I really do appreciate the support over there. If you also want to check out my Patreon, the top link, it's the top link down in the description. I really appreciate you guys going above and beyond and helping me keep this show growing. That's going to do it for me. Should have another video up, I don't know, it might be 3 or 4 or 5 days. It's like a 2-day drive out to California. Gonna spend at least a day unpacking and everything, so it might be pretty busy the next few days. But if you're not following me on Twitter, go follow me over there, because if any big NASCAR news comes out, I'll react to it first over there. And of course, next week I'll be doing videos once again as if nothing has changed. Just the price of my rent. Anyway, y'all, thanks for the support. Still working on some of my 2020 travel plans, but with me being out on the West Coast, might make it out to a couple racetracks I've never been to before. So I'll keep you guys posted on my plans. Should hopefully have a lot of really great and awesome new content for you guys here in the next few months. But thanks for bearing with me, and I'll see you again very, very soon. Have a great rest of your weekend, everybody.